Hi everybody, so this is Goddess Goddard with this week's tarot forecast for May 25th through the 31st. So I've got three choices today. I've got titanium quartz, if you want to look at that. That's option number 1, and then I've got opalite as option number 2. And then I have labradorite as option number 3. Alright, so I'm going to give you a chance to kind of check those out and make a selection. And feel free to pause the video if you'd like. Alright, so I'm going to start with option number 1, our titanium quartz. So the artist for this one is Paul Gauguin, and it says, go far to go far. Exaggerate the subtle. Share the unseen. Only an outsider sees inward. So Paul Gauguin. So I'm going to put this card right here. Our astrology cards for this week are Gemini the butterfly, curious, communicative, versatile, flexible, variety-seeking, social, collaborative, brilliant, perceptive, connected, vocal, adaptive, street smart, mobile, studious, superficial, restless, and fidgety. And then also the square, a challenge. So creates tension, stalls, sounds the alarm, motivates, pressures into, frustrates, demands, struggles, reorients, hurts, and works out. And then our relationship card for this week is make the effort. So you can check that out right here. Alright, and then I've got 3 tarot cards for this week. So for everybody that chose this particular deck, or this selection, we've got all coins. So I feel like money is definitely on the mind with this group of people. So I'm going to set that there. This is the 4 of Pentacles. I'm going to put that right there. 4 of Pence, the 6 of Pence, and then the 2 of Pentacles. So I feel like this particular group is definitely more money focused this week. I think there are concerns about money to be made in the future, creating a sense of balance, and then also wondering whether or not they should be holding on to their resources. I think that there have been definitely some communication issues, I think with the Gemini and the square. And I'm thinking, let's see, I think that you feel like you're sick of kind of functioning a little bit differently. So I think that you're trying to pick up speed and change pace with a different career, or maybe maybe you're thinking about broadcasting or something like that, or doing something that deals with more communication to maybe create more money or value. I'm gonna pull an extra card from my Gustav Klimt deck. And let's see, what is the extra card here for y'all? I think it's this one. Okay, so the 4 of Swords too. So I think that there's definitely this pause that's going on. I think it's rethinking or reevaluating the ways in which you make money, but this is also considered kind of a rest period. So I like to think of this as being storing energy up for the future. Because I feel like with the Paul Gauguin card, this particular artist traveled to a lot of places to paint different tribes and different types of people from around the world, and I feel like what you're wanting to do is to explore a broader horizon with more people, and you kind of feel like you've always been an outsider, and that it's time for people to see your perspective on things. I'm gonna say, for a quick PS, I think that there is definitely money to be made on a greater scale. So the 10 of Coins is definitely about networking in some way. And I see those kind of coming together. So I also see make the effort. So if this is an idea, I think it's worth spending the money on with the 4 of Coin. 4 of Coin usually is talking about people wanting to hold on to things forever because they're worried about money scarcity. But I think in this case, this is about maybe spending the money that needs to happen to be able to make more money. You're feeling a little conservative about maybe wanting to purchase the certain items that you need, just because you're worried about the push and pull of things. So the 2 of Coin that are going on here typically talks about issues of balance. So sometimes the work-life situation might not be balanced. Maybe you're working too much, maybe you're partying too much, and so you can't seem to balance those things out. And so in this case, I think it's just worried about that your finances might not balance out with your home, or a certain amount of needs that you need to make everything kind of happen together, flow together. But I do see with Gauguin that there is a sense of exploring the greater world or the unknown, and sharing the deep wealth that you have definitely inside. And sometimes with Gemini, with the challenge that we were talking about, Sometimes that comes up with that is just having to learn something new. Square really pushes us to move past the obstacles and things that we've been challenged with. So I think that that's a big thing going on with that. So I'm going to move on to group number 2. So if you picked Opalite with this lovely opal heart-shaped crystal, this is the Pickacard for you. Okay, so I am going to put this Opalite right up here. So your artist is Francisco Goya. And in the case of emergency, locate your nearest exile. A good caricature is no exaggeration. The truth takes shape in the shadows. So this is Francisco Goya. And he's known for kind of making, I believe he's a Spanish painter, and he's known for making kind of these grotesque copper prints that kind of have like he talked a lot about the Spanish War that happened, I think, like 1918, and how gory and horrific it was because it depicted the people in fighting with each other, and all these deaths and things that happened to their own people. So Pluto transformation is one of our astrology cards that shows up, and then our second one is the 5th house. So Pluto is all about transformation. So in this card it says renewal, inner resources, basic instincts, motivation, personal power, evolution, composting, cycles, death, rebirth, subversion, suspicion, obsession, intensity, reckoning, taboos, clearing, and extremes. And the 5th house deals with passion. I also consider this the house of joy. Performance, entertainment, creativity, costume, play, love affairs, passion, pleasure, parties, children, humor, romance, disco balls. Okay, so I think with the combination of those two, Pluto is kind of bringing a big transformation in the way that you consider joy, what makes you happy. You know, Francisco Goya is not necessarily like the most charismatic figure in the artistic world, because it's talking about exile. But I think in this way, it's like maybe this quarantine has given you some time to kind of reshape, you know, what makes you happy, what brings you joy. You know, maybe not being out with people somehow has changed your idea of what makes you happy. What would you like to see? What kind of performances would you like to do? So our relationship card for this group is chemistry. And there's a strong magnetic attraction here. So I also see that with Pluto too. People talk about magnetic attraction. All right, and then very dissimilar to the first set of cards, this is actually a lot of cups here. So this is the 8 of cups, leaving behind something, and then this is the 7 of cups. So having too many options available for you. And then also Diablo, the devil. So I'm kind of feeling like you might be moving away from something that might have brought you some joy in the past. I think in some way you might be feeling like you're going through a transformative period. Also, the devil is talking about maybe some things that we feel like we're attached to, like we definitely have to do them. This can be bad habits to anything with like sexual desires. It can be a positive card if you're thinking about more of like what brings you joy, what brings you excitement. But in this one, it can sometimes be not necessarily something that we're super proud of at the same time. So bringing those type of elements together. The devil card can be seen as more of like a lust than it is about a love, right? So I'm going to pull a couple cards from my clip deck, and let's see some PSs about this. I'm kind of wondering about the essence of options. The 5th house is also about hooking up. It's not necessarily about dating, but it's about pleasures. So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of movement going on here. So not only do we have the 8 of Cups coming up, but we also have the 8 of Wands. So the 8 of Wands is about swift movement, quick change. The 8 of Cups is about kind of leaving something behind and just moving forward. With our Hangman, I see that there is a reluctance, maybe. I'm wondering if there is a reluctance about maybe moving on from a relationship. Let's see. Why is the Hangman showing up? Oh, we got the 7 of Cups again. So this might be a reluctance to maybe commit. I'm thinking that there are too many different people that you're interested in flirting with or maybe hooking up with. That this might not be the time that you're definitely wanting to settle down with anybody. Chemistry could be just talking about that there's a lot of physical attraction that's going on, and you know, maybe this quarantine has showed you, I have a feeling that it might be about how lonely life is without a partner. And so maybe you're thinking about like, wow, you know, all this time that I've spent alone, maybe I should have been with somebody, maybe I should have been making these changes. So I'm kind of feeling like that. I think with the Devil card, definitely be careful of what your desires are. You might end up in more of a kind of a bad situation than you were before. I also feel like with this person, yeah, you are kind of stirring up a lot of dirt with a lot of people. And so I also feel like you're still in communications or connections with a a past lover as well, and so there could be this chemistry, and I think that with the Judgment there, this was a significant relationship, so I'm wondering if your partner might be wanting this commitment if you come back into their life, and I think that you're kind of faking it to get their attention. So I'd be very careful of that, because you might end up being in a situation that they might not talk to you ever again. Okay, so I'm going to move on to number 3. So this is with our labradorite crystal. Kind of pretty. Yay, Opalite. Okay, so if you chose labradorite, this is the Pickacard for you. Group number 3. Alright, so your artist here is Gustav Klimt. Every portrait is a self-portrait. If no group will have you, start your own. Like gold, eroticism fluctuates with the times. So he's our little print master. I love all the textures that he creates. It's wonderful. And I also have the Klimt deck with me today, so we'll be using some of those cards as well. So our astrology cards are the Ascendant, Outlook, and the Sun, Being. So the Ascendant rules the way that others see us, how we appear to others, what our body looks like, how we adorn ourselves, things like that. So worldview, mission statement, expression, effect, role, mark, attitude, outer self, point of view, body image, aura, likeness, approach, impact, first impressions. And the Sun. So we've got essence, energy, self-awareness, life force, spirit, creativity, honor, masculinity, distinction, childness, ego, individuality, solitude, expression, shine, heartbeat, and father. So the Sun is all about like our ego, our life essence, what we plan on achieving in this lifetime. So the Ascendant and the Sun pretty much kind of go together. The Ascendant's not necessarily about our ego, but just about presentation. So I think it's pretty interesting that the two of these are coming together. All right, so we actually got 2 relationship cards. So the first one was trust. The situation is calling for you to have faith. And then the other one is worth waiting for. Divine timing is at its work in your love life. And then we've got 3 tarot cards. Oh, we got 4 actually. So 4 tarot cards. So we've got the Wheel of Fortune. We've got the High Priestess. We've got the Sun again. So 2 sets of the Sun, and then also the Moon. So the first thing I want to say is that the Moon is the co-card of the High Priestess. So they kind of go together, they're a team. And the Moon is also a team to the Sun. So the Sun is ego, and the Moon is like our inner soul, or what our emotions are, what guides us, right? And the Fortune, or the Wheel, is all about things that are changing, are in flux. And when I see it upright, it's always like when it's in our favor. But it's never really something that's like in our control. And the High Priestess is knowing, is just kind of inner knowing about things, like our intuition, like how we feel about these things. So I feel like there's definitely a massive change going on. I think that you feel like it's your time to kind of shine right now. And you're ready to kind of let your intuition maybe guide you a little bit more. And I think in the past, maybe you were a little bit more insecure and you didn't really want to let this energy flow out of you, but you just feel like this is right. The other thing too that I'm seeing is that I feel like there is a significant relationship going on with this particular person, and there might be a desire to maybe make this into something more. Maybe not necessarily a marriage, but there might be a final reasoning that you feel like this is finally the partner for you. Like you feel like they're your High Priestess, right? But I feel like this is a really energetic, recharging period for you. It's like almost like you came out of quarantine and you're like, you know what, I needed that time and that space to come back within and be able to kind of recharge my batteries and figure out who it is that I am inside. And I think that, you know, you were distrustful maybe of like these types of feelings, or, you know, maybe the type of person that you are. And I like this bottom piece. It's like, it says like gold eroticism fluctuates with the times. So it could be that maybe you're coming into like your own sense of self. Like, you know, maybe for some of you, you might be feeling like you're coming out maybe for the first time, or maybe you're ready to kind of just explore the person that you felt like you've been the whole time, like your whole life. And finally, things are kind of falling in line for you. I'm going to pull a quick extra card, an extra PS, and I think that'll wrap it up for our readings for this week. If you'd like to check out more of my readings, feel free to check me out at goddessgoddard on YouTube, and I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as well. If you'd like to book a personal reading, hit me up at gmail.com, or goddessgoddard@gmail. Okay, and I'm going to pull this extra card for you. I feel like it's this one. Why do we have that first? Okay, so yeah, I feel like, so the Lovers is coming up. I think for some of you, this could be creativity. And for others, it could be a passionate relationship. And with the Five of Swords, maybe you felt like at one point in time you walked away from the situation, but it's time to kind of come back together with it. I think that a lot of times with the fives, we're fighting something that never existed or wasn't a problem in the first place. Not existing is not exactly the right term, but I'm thinking that, you know, maybe there felt like there was this opposition, or maybe you didn't feel like you were on the same side of things, but suddenly it's all working as it should be planned, you know. All right, well, thank you so much, and stay tuned for next week. These videos are going to drop every Monday. Thank you so much, and have a fabulous week. Thank you.